Everyone, sorry about that. We just got the 60-minute boot again. Um, yeah, this is part two, talking to Chris Hornbrook of Boys in the Well. So I'll just get him back in. It's okay.
Nope.
It's because we went down a Chernobyl wormhole.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that happens. Like after talking for an hour,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it
It just
kicks you. It
yeah,
kicks you
yeah.
off.
It gives you the
But
boot.
yeah, we were saying about Chernobyl. Like there's like a big crane that was like removing debris, and if
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same thing, you could like if you put up to it, it just doesn't go. It's not as crazy as it was when it happened, but still,
Mm.
it's like super high. It's
Yeah, I watched a documentary where people who want to go on dangerous holidays,
mhm,
and they book a trip to go to Chernobyl,
mhm,
and they filmed it, and they like all in a bus, and they all have one of those meters,
mhm.
and like even as they're driving and they're going through certain cities, it's
Yeah,
like, and they're like that's technically like don't open the door, don't open the windows, like we can't get out of the car, like kind of
yeah,
thing.
it's
And they were
nuts.
like freaking out, like the people, like the actual people started freaking because they did,
Mm.
like, they wanted a dangerous trip but not really, I guess.
Yeah.
So they like started to freak when they realized how bad like it actually was. um but yeah, I was gonna say, so is there, like, with a few people have asked, is Greg gonna tour his solo thing? And I mean, who knows at the moment with this COVID thing.
Yeah,
I
I have
feel,
I have no idea. I actually have
yeah.
no idea at all. I mean, I don't even know if there is like when is touring gonna happen? How is it gonna happen? Like, are you gonna
Mm.
go into like say like 1,000 cat room and there's only like 300 people in there because everybody has to be like far
Distance,
apart
yeah.
and fucking
Yeah.
masks on and shit. So I don't see touring really coming back and being normal for a while. Like it'll
No.
start, but it's gonna be like really weird. And then,
Mm.
as like I said, once the vaccine happens, it just fucking game over.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's gonna go
It's
fucking crazy and shit, and like fucking rubbing hands on each other, and sharing a beer bottle and whatever.
yeah, yeah. Well, because I mean, they can't, like, I guess you got to do the social distancing thing, but also it means the tickets have to be really expensive if they're gonna, most like bigger bands,
Hmm.
they'll want to charge more to make it worthwhile to have this huge cap room with like not even half of the capacity. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, think about it. If a
Because
band only makes a certain amount of money, and an X amount of that covers the costs, and then the rest obviously goes to them so they can pay their bills and be adults. What happens when you diminish capacities by a larger amount? The
yeah,
guarantees are going to be less and less and less, and it's going to make it unsustainable. So I think there'll be other methods. Like I think a lot of bands are doing live streams, and
yeah,
then there's some bands that are doing like they're going on tour, but they like rent it out of like a venue or a rehearsal spot, and like they go in every day like they're playing a show, but it's like it's only streaming to Los Angeles. It's only streaming to one day Los Angeles, one day San Francisco, one day like
yeah, yeah,
they're treating it like that, but instead of like them, going back in the bus or going to a hotel or whatever, they just go home.
yeah, yeah,
And the gear
yeah.
stays set up and the lights stay set up and like
Set
everything
up.
is like, the same.
And they
I
can
mean
just
that
walk in.
I think that's somewhat of an okay way to figure it out, but nothing's
Yeah,
gonna
for the
beat the
time
whole
being.
live thing.
No, no.
Nothing's
It's
gonna
never
beat like when you go to a
being
venue
right
and
there.
shit, and like a band's about to play, and you're fucking stoked, and the fucking dudes checking the mic, and guys are hitting drums, and then the band comes on, like the live energy that comes from that, you can't replace that like with a live stream, not yet
No,
at
you
least.
can't. No, no. Not at all. Like it's, you know, it's difficult. But like, I was gonna say, I was watching, because you do loads of drum videos
Yeah, I do a
on
few. I do
on
a
your,
few. I do a few. I mean, there's people like fucking on YouTube that like, or I'm sorry, Instagram that have like a career doing that. So
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like, I'm like nothing. compared to like
compared to that next level.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I've
their
seen some
thing.
of those.
That's
Yeah,
their
yeah,
thing. That's what they do, you know?
yeah, yeah. But usually those people aren't in. They're not like, you know, there might be maybe session, but they're not in bands and things like that either. The guys that are doing that, they're just
No.
playing covers of stuff or like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's
Whereas like
weird.
you're playing like music that, you know, you've actually played or written or like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, where is that huge setup that you have going on with the cams and all that? Is that at home or is that at a studio?
So it's at my studio. It's actually pretty simple. I just have like a GoPro,
Mm-hmm.
and you know GoPros are really great quality. So like if I don't usually do multiple angles. Like I did a playthrough video for Greg, and I just
Mm-hmm.
recorded the song, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it right here, and play the song. Looked at it, all right, that's cool, and then like just kept moving it around, and probably did like maybe 5 or 6 takes of different angles. And I just came back to my place and like edited it in iMovie. But normally, if it's like a normal video, it's just one static shot. It's really easy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's super easy. Like, and if I record my own audio, you like literally, it's like click and drag. It's like I do like a little mix in Logic. I mix it down, and then you could like literally look in when you're looking at in iMovie. There's the file, and then there's the audio that like the actual audio that you recorded. You
Yeah.
just drag your like the real good audio in it, and you line it up with that audio, and then you turn that audio down. Fucking easy.
And it's all done. Yeah.
Done. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
things like you couldn't do that 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. And now
Now it's just like
the
it.
thing.
Yeah, it's like insanely easy now.
Yeah, and everyone's learning. Like a couple of people I've spoken to have been like they've taken this time to like learn how to record properly, like
Hmm.
from home and stuff, like
Yeah.
rather than, you know, so they
Hmm.
can do shit like that. And yeah, which is like next level. A few people are asking if there would be any way in the future that there would be the possibility of a opposite of December tour just for that album.
Probably not like a full-on tour, but we did have stuff planned for like the latter end of 2020 for like the 20th anniversary.
Hmm.
Clearly not happening.
Yeah.
So the way we're looking at it is that like that in our mind, whenever we choose to do that, we're still going to celebrate the 20th anniversary, whether it's a year or two from now. We're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
still like, okay, cool. We have those 2 festivals next year, rad. We're talking about doing other shows. Never a full-on tour because there's just a lot of expenses and time away, and the other guys have like stuff that they can't really break away for long periods of time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it would be short bursts. It would be like, oh, like we're out and we're playing maybe like 5 or 6 shows, and then you know over the course of a week and a half, and then we're back home, and then maybe you know a few months later we might do 1 or 2 festivals. Like it's nothing. It's nothing that's going to be like we're on tour for a month. We're in a bus. It's the full nine. Like I don't think any of us want to commit to something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean,
shows for sure, like for sure, and we'll keep them somewhat limited to make them special.
yeah. And I hope, hopefully, by some miracle, someone can bring that show here.
I mean, we were not against it. I mean, we're definitely like,
I think it would do really well. I
yeah,
mean,
I think we'd be fine. You could play, you know, 2 nights at you know like a 200 or 300 cap room or something like that. Or if that does well, you upgrade it to the next. Like, there's ways you could figure it out and like make it work. And like we wouldn't go to Perth. We'd just probably go to like
yeah.
Brisbane, Sydney.
Sorry, my face.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, Melbourne. Maybe fuck Adelaide too. I don't know.
yeah,
Definitely
Adelaide
not
is,
Perth. You know,
yeah. Perth, no. Adelaide,
depends because sometimes people are like, oh, we'll give you a bunch of money to come here, and you're like, oh.
yeah. That's the thing. If they can give you a package where it's like actually worth it,
Hmm.
then you know it's like okay, maybe we'll do Adelaide. But
Yeah,
yeah, Perth is just like a hard, you know, it's just a
it's
difficult
nice.
thing.
Like I like Perth. It's nice. Obviously, it's a smaller city, even from like most cities in the U.S. It's like, really cool. But I mean, the times that I've been there, like the shows really haven't been insane.
Yeah, there's just not that big a crowd. I think there, like it's just a small population of people, and they don't.
I mean, even festivals. Like we did Big Day Out and we did Soundwave there, and those are like by far the smallest
Of all.
of all those festivals. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you too, like, because you did do some work um with Danny Harrison, which is of course George Harrison's son
Mm-hmm.
or daughter, is it? I get
Son.
often
Yeah, his son.
yeah,
He's a dude.
because of the
Definitely,
name Danny.
definitely.
Danny,
He's definitely a dude.
yeah,
He's definitely a
Danny,
dude.
yeah, like what sort of stuff was that?
It's cool. Yeah, he's super cool, dude. He just kind of does what he wants. He's fortunate. He has that luxury to be able to do that. So it's like a mixture of like, definitely has his father's influence because obviously his father,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's interesting because it's like a mix of like, Beatles-ish, George-ish kind of bluesy stuff, but then he's really into like electronic music. Like he loves
yeah,
Massive Attack. He loves, what else does he love? He loves like a bunch of that stuff. So it's almost kind
yeah,
of like he mixes those two things together. And sometimes it's, it's really left of center. Sometimes it's center center. Sometimes it's somewhere in the middle. But it's always really cool. It's always really fun. And yeah, he's a cool dude to work for. And I've had a lot of cool experiences like playing with him.
yeah,
Like, opportunities that really aren't afforded if you play punk or metal or hardcore.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, he's
You have.
what you say?
I was gonna say you haven't had an opportunity to meet the George.
What?
You haven't had an opportunity to meet the big George.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, he's cool. It's awesome. The band's great. Like, it's a really chill environment, and he's all about having fun, which is, yeah, obviously you treat it seriously. You go out there and you kick ass, but like that's a
Mm.
big thing. Is like you gotta have fun if you're gonna do that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the move from like being in solid bands to doing session stuff,
Hmm.
like, what's that like? Is that fun? Like, I mean, I guess because you just get to work on so many different things, and
Yeah.
and it
Well,
kind of becomes your day, like a daily, like something you can rely on. I guess work you can rely on.
Well, that's the thing. Everything is there's a trade-off for everything, right? So if you're in a band, like yeah, you're in a band, and like you're in the press shots, and you go on tour, and you get all the things of being in a band. But there are the downsides of being that, like in those particular in that particular situation of being in a band, you are essentially a business owner, which means everybody gets paid before you do.
Yeah,
Whereas like
yeah,
the flip side, and you got to make all the decisions, and sometimes you're going to make really stupid decisions, or sometimes you're going to make really good decisions.
yeah,
And that obviously financially and career-wise affects you. And if your shit goes down in flames, then tough shit, right?
yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
if you're like, what you said?
I was just gonna say, yeah, then you cop it
Yeah,
rather than someone
exactly.
else.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're like more of a hired guy, it's like, oh, this is how much, my week is, my weekly rate, and you negotiate with them and whatever. And then they just, hey, this is the deal. This is the tour. This is the accommodations. You don't have to worry about anything. You just have to worry about going on stage every night and playing really good. And
Yeah,
if for some reason that band or that artist doesn't do anything, then you're not fucked. You just jump to somebody else. So
yeah, yeah,
more consistency in terms of the financial part of working for somebody, but obviously being in a band is fun because you have more of a say creatively, or you have more of a say in terms of like, hey, this is what I think we should do financially, or we should do business wise, or yes, I think we should do this tour. No, I don't think we should do this tour, so on and so forth.
yeah, yeah. So what are you doing? Are you doing anything creatively just for you at the
I
moment?
I'm like one of those people. See, this is kind of my thing. Like, I'm how do I say this? I'm a creative person, but like not in a musical way. And I know that doesn't make any sense. I'll totally explain that in a second.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
way I look at my role in music is I don't like the whole term like artistry to me seems it's so trite at this point, and it seems so like pretentious. I don't think of myself as like an artist at all. I think of myself as like more of a creative builder, because like the way
hmm
the drums are the foundation of a song. You're building the foundation for everything to go on top. So
yeah,
that's kind of the way I look at that stuff. And like I like my role. I like working with people. I like someone coming to me and being like, I have this cool idea, and having like a sketch, and me
Yeah.
being like, dude, I know where to take with that. I know what to do with it, and like collaborating and working with people. Like if I write stuff on my own, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. I just don't get off on being the guy that like is involved from it from start to finish.
To finish,
I
yeah.
I like to like help people fulfill their idea, but also fulfill my ideas too. You know, it's like a collaborative thing. Like that just is more satisfying to me because sometimes somebody will come to me with an idea if I'm writing with somebody or Poison Well, and they'll be like, I'm thinking this, and I'm like, holy shit, I have the best idea. What if we did this? And then it goes from being something that's really cool to really great. And then both people are excited, or the band is excited, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So I prefer that role. So in terms of creativity, like there's a bit of creativity in drumming, but it's different. I'm not like writing melodies for songs or vocal melodies, which traditionally people look at as being what a song is. Even though you can make the argument with some type of bands where the drumming has more of a like an identity. It's more of it's more of an identifiable part of the band, whereas like, you know, some bands have that, some bands don't.
Oh, I mean, like, stupid example, not a stupid example, but like an obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
Like Metallica, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Lars's drums are like, you know, they're crucial
Yeah,
to
I mean,
everything that's going on.
100%. You could say whatever you want about Lars in terms of him being a bad drummer or this or that, but he has a very specific way that he plays that like when like for Metallica to be Metallica, you need Lars playing drums, you need James playing guitar and singing. It doesn't matter who plays bass, clearly. And then you need Kirk Hammett doing solos.
Doing all this,
That's Metallica.
Yeah.
You can't have Metallica without Lars. And then on the flip side of that, Lars is like the creative guy in that band. Like he's the guy that like knows how to put stuff together. So like, okay, you could say maybe he's not the most like
personable person or something.
No, actually I heard he's really cool. I have a few friends that like hangs out that hung out with him.
I think it's what do you call it? It's a myth or something. You know, people have this thing like that he's this not approachable, not nice guy, but
he was the guy that was just like, hey, people are singing my music.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's the thing, and that's unfortunately that's gonna follow him forever. The thing was, he was the first guy to do that, or one of the first people to do that. Don't ever be the first guy to do that.
Yeah.
You're gonna get crucified, dude. Crucified.
Because I look at songs like Whiplash and Blackened, and the drums on that are so good.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa, like so fast and like so insane, and like it's like that runs the song.
Yeah, without Lars, there's no Metallica.
Yeah.
He's as crucial. He's as crucial as James, but just in a very different way. Like the two most important parts of Metallica clearly are Lars and James.
Yeah.
Without question. Just like with like Soundgarden, like the most two crucial parts was Chris Cornell and was Matt Cameron, because the way Matt Cameron played and Chris's voice and the way the riffs that he wrote.
Yeah.
There's some bands where like a drummer brings that, but traditionally not really. Like if you ask, you know, any normal pop band or any normal like whatever, doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah, they don't see the drumming as like
no, they don't, because it doesn't really maintain melody. Now, if the drummer came in and he's like, hey, I wrote this entire song, I'm just gonna play drums, but this is my song. Like that's different. But for the drums, unless the drums are such a crucial part, like I feel like this is a great example. I was talking to a student of mine the other day about this, about like the idea of like what the riff is, right? People think of a riff, they think of a guitar riff, but the way I've always looked at it is like the riff is more than a riff. Like it's more than a guitar riff. A riff can be a drum part, or it could be like a bass part, or it could be like a synth part. The riff is just like whatever circus speak or vernacular for like the main thing. That song, Deftones, Digital Bath. There's three things happening in that song. There's the drum beat, which drives the entire song, the main melody, and then the vocal melody. without the drum beat, you lose the song.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's clearly an example of that, and the drum is the drums or the riff. It's the thing that's like propelling the song forward, you know.
Yeah, that's why I always feel bad for like for drummers who always get like, you know, oh, but he's a drummer, like
Yeah.
because they're usually they, you know, even though you put right up the back, it's
Mm.
like you usually like carrying it. You know what I mean? A lot of the time, and
Yeah.
if you fuck up, everyone fucks up usually. Like so, it's
Well,
like, you know, it's such a tight thing, and
I,
yeah, it's
I,
underrated.
yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just honestly, I just think it's because the drummer sits on a drummerizer, sitting down, like either in the center or the side of the stage, and everybody else is running around, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
getting a little bit more of the attention. But it just depends. Do you want that type of attention or not? I personally don't
yeah,
give a
yeah,
shit. You know what I mean? I'd rather be heard and like not seen. Doesn't make a difference to me. Like, you know,
yeah, yeah.
it's whatever.
Uh,
I don't really
Yeah,
require that sort of attention anyway. So, but the flip side of that is like, you know, people make fun of drummers, but like when the band falls apart, if you have a good drummer, he's going to be working doing other things while like the singer's
yeah,
like struggling to like flip fucking burgers at McDonald's. You
yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. The singer's always the one who's like, yeah, like got the least because they're like, oh shit, what am I gonna do
Yeah,
when she falls apart?
it's very rare that a singer can jump around and do a bunch of shit because typically they're specifically known for one band,
Hmm.
and you really have to have a drive to like move forward and like do your own thing. And like very few singers from bands have been able to go and continue on. You know?
Yeah, and do different. Like, I mean, yeah, like Chino from Deftones has got a few separate things, and they work.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you were saying, Greg as well. Like Black Queen works on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's able to do that, and it's a different crowd completely.
Well,
Like
it's so
almost.
different. Like Greg, Greg's pretty calculated and smart about that shit. Where it's just like Dillinger is completely left field. Black Queen is left field from Dillinger, and then Killer Be Killed's completely different. And then his soloist stuff is a bit of like the Black Queen stuff, but not really. But then it has a whole other element to it. So he knows what he's doing. The thing is, you have to hit a bunch of different things and tackle a bunch of different shit that you're into,
Yeah,
and just be
exactly.
really
Yeah.
competitive and be like have the drive to like win. You know, if you have the drive to win and you're like, I don't give a shit, I'm gonna figure out how to do this, then you'll figure it out. It's just some people just don't have that like,
Don't. Yeah, the push to do it
yeah,
and like do like loads of like, you know, and collabing and doing like loads of different projects with people. It's just like they want to do their thing, and then
yeah.
it ends up just being their thing again and again and again. So
Yeah, I mean that's the
it
thing. It's
doesn't
especially
work.
for especially for singers. Singers have to be careful because they have a tendency of gravitating towards particular melodies, particular phrasings of melodies. So it's like best if it's like the singer and then they have another writing partner that
Yeah,
brings something out of them, or a writing partner and then they work with a different producer that like really like pushes them in a different direction that they wouldn't have typically known to go. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what is the like what's the
Like, what are you going to be
dynamic?
doing for the next year? Nothing.
No, no, I was gonna say that. I was
uh,
gonna say like what is your dynamic and stuff with the dudes from Poison the Well now? Like it's been 20 years. Are you guys like
it,
just
it's cool.
really
Yeah,
good bros still?
yeah,
I mean when I
it's very brotherly. That's the best way to describe it. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm like friends with them. That's not the right. That sort of word doesn't do
yeah,
the relationship justice. It's very brotherly.
yeah,
Like I get on their nerves, they get on my nerves. We complain to each other about getting on each other's nerves. But at the end of the day, it's all love. But it's very much like a brotherly dynamic, a brotherly vibe to
yeah,
us. You know. So, but it's good for the most part. It's good.
yeah. That
Like any other relationship, it goes ups and downs. But where it is right now, it's. I think it's in a very good, healthy place. You know.
yeah, that's cool. Because I mean I think I've always remembered you as being like very like you're one of those people that like gets right into the drum, like the exercises before you go on stage. And,
Yeah,
like,
you got your regimen.
yeah,
You got your shit you
yeah,
got to do, you know? If you don't
yeah,
do
yeah,
it, then, like, you're like, fuck, I didn't do this thing or I didn't do that thing.
yeah.
You know?
And it's so strange when you watching different bands and how, like, what their little thing is. And I
Mm-hmm.
always remember that you're really like, you always have your thing going on.
Yeah,
And then I know other people that like literally just like do stretches and shit and go out.
yeah. Yeah,
It's like such a different.
everybody has different needs as, like, a drummer since we're all genetically different. Whereas, like,
Mm,
I need to warm up because I need my hands to be a certain thing. And, like, I do stretching, but it's more important that I do this. Where like you
mm,
said, some people can just stretch. They don't, like, for whatever reason, it's not a big deal to them. But they just
yeah,
stretch
yeah,
and they're like, I'm good, you know?
yeah. And I'll see you out there. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you out there. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
yeah, it's not even a big deal to them. It's just because their headspace is different or what their needs are different or, like, genetic. Like I said, genetically they're different. They're like, I don't need to warm up, but, like, I need to
yeah,
really do this particular stretch or this thing, or I get this weird thing that happens over here. You know?
yeah, yeah. And do you have like a thing for breathing as well, or are you good
I
with that?
do. I don't use it as much as I should. I started doing, like, the Wim Hof breathing method. Are you familiar with that at all?
No.
He's this Dutch dude that, like, is just crazy. He could, like, regulate his core temperature, which is, like, human beings can't do that, but for some reason this guy's been able to do it for whatever
Do
fucking
it.
reason. He's, like, climbed Mount Everest in, like, a pair of just, like, booty shorts and, like, swam in, like, sub-zero temperatures and
So
not
yeah,
has not gotten any, like, hypothermia or anything like that. He has a breathing method. And
yeah,
I used to do that. It's not crazy. It's just you take air in, you exhale a little bit, and then you don't completely let it out. You just keep, like, it's almost kind of like you keep expanding your lungs as far as they'll go, and you do that for like 30 reps. Usually
yeah,
you feel
yeah.
high as shit after because you just inhaled a bunch of nitrogen
Well,
and oxygen. You know? But
yeah,
it's cool.
yeah,
You feel good. You feel supercharged. You feel
yeah,
very, like, you feel like you're good to go. But I don't do that as much as I should. But
yeah. I asked because we were talking to a couple of different people, and like, for example, I mean, Jorma from
yeah,
Bronx,
yeah, yeah.
and he vomits the whole way through in a bucket, and
That's
like,
nuts.
yeah,
I didn't know
yeah,
that
and
actually.
yeah, he does, and it's like, so he has a bucket on. I mean, he's not playing with Bronx anymore, but when he did play with Bronx,
Hmm.
he would have a bucket, and he vomits like all the way through, and it's not from drinking or anything. It's like from exertion
Hmm.
and breathing and whatnot. And then we're saying like Gabe Serbian is another person who vomits all the way through as well
Hmm.
and has a bucket.
Yeah,
And so yeah, I was wondering, like, it seems like, yeah, quite a few drummers struggle with that, with the breathing and the exertion, and
yeah,
you having to vomit throughout the thing is pretty hardcore.
yeah. I've never, I've never had to vomit ever from exertion. I've definitely played and been like, holy fuck, I've completely, like, pushed this past where I should have way too quickly. Like, I didn't regulate myself.
Yep.
But a lot of that shit just has to do with cardiovascular. Like, if I'm well rehearsed in terms of, like, my cardio is up, and if I'm doing, like I started jumping rope like maybe a month or two ago, if I just
Hmm.
kind of, like, speed that up and incorporate that into rehearsing, then it doesn't feel like anything. You could be playing
Yeah, yeah,
super hard and you could be beating the shit out of your drums and perfectly in time and all this sort of stuff, and you feel good. You know, like, you've warmed up, you've done the cardio, you did all the work so that, like, when it comes to showtime, we're totally good. You know, unless you hurt yourself, like I'm playing and I split, like, a nail on the snare drum or something like that. That's different, you know, but
yeah, yeah.
I don't think at any point I've ever had to throw up. I've definitely felt pure exhaustion from playing in, like, really, really small rooms and it
Hmm.
becoming super humid and you're not breathing in, like, oxygen. You're just breathing in people exhaling and smoke and all the sort of
Yeah.
bullshit
Almost
that come.
carbon dioxide, like just that. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like I'm back in Florida, but I'm in a little tiny club somewhere in, like, upstate New York.
And not surrounded by loads of Christians and evangelicals and
No, none of that garbage. But yeah, it's just nuts. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know dudes like threw up.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I mean, I've seen it and it's horrible to watch. Like, I haven't seen Gabe do it, but yeah, I think I can't think if it was Justin Pearson talking about it or whatever, but he was saying, he vomits all the way
Yeah.
through, quite a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
it's gross for everyone else
Yeah, of
on the
course.
stage
Ah,
because it like
ah,
reeks. But yeah, but John used to do the same thing, and he would be like, "Oh, he'd ask for a bucket at the beginning of the show, ready in preparation in case,
yeah, in case it goes
because
down.
yeah, so it's not like everywhere or whatever."
Hmm.
But yeah, I used to be like, "Oh, here it comes, here it comes." You just know it, and you'd be like,
Yeah. It's funny how that like always elicits a response, like you know it's gonna happen. And like
mm,
watching somebody's gag reflex and then
"Oh no,
watching
I'd
like
look
somebody,
away."
yeah, physically throw up, or if you get a smell of it, like for
Hmm.
some reason it triggers you. Like your body, you just, I don't know where that comes from. I have no idea.
No, no. I was saying we were actually saying how well kind of fucked up it would be, but like also if you played a show
Hmm.
and everyone like had the gag reflex, like it'd be like Stand By Me, in when
Yeah.
everybody when they have the pie and then everyone
Oh,
vomits all over each other. Because that's
oof.
how I'm if someone's vomiting right in front of me, I get the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's not a
Like,
not gag reflex. I wonder where that comes
yeah,
from, though. There has to be some sort of like evolutionary benefit to that.
yeah, there
Like
must be. I
maybe in
don't know.
small tribes. So obviously we came from like hunter-gatherer tribes in like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
small clusters. So maybe it's the idea that if you see somebody that's throwing up, you probably eat this. You probably all ate the same thing. So watching
Yeah,
them elicits that response. So if you have it in you, you'll throw it up too.
you do. Yeah, yeah. It must be something like that because
Has to
I
be.
remember doing it since I was a little kid.
Yeah, same
Like,
thing. I do the same thing. I do this. I think every person on Earth, with the probably rare exception of like a few people, do the
yeah,
same exact thing. And
yeah,
it has to be something like that because you got to think like,
yeah,
why would I react that way if he or she is doing that? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
That doesn't make any sense. But if you think about it, like, oh yeah, if you're in a group of like 50 people and like you just killed like a elephant and you're eating it and it's like bad and one person
yeah,
throws
yeah,
up, if it sets off a chain reaction, there's a benefit. Like the tribe lives, nobody dies. Like you
yeah,
throw
yeah,
up
yeah,
the thing that's bad.
yeah. Like it was some kind of evolutionary signal or something to everyone
Has
that
to be
this
it
is
has
bad.
to be something like that. There has to be something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Just like
Because
when you smell things that are like putrid, like that's your body, that's your sense of saying, don't eat that. That'll like kill you.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's a
yeah,
signal. It goes instantly to your brain. You're like, oh, it smells terrible. That food's rotten. Like, and that's so we don't die.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. I love there's so many bath stories going around in these interviews. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, it's nuts. But like, I was gonna say, yeah, obviously you have no idea what you're gonna do for the next year because no one
I'll
does.
I'll figure it out. My whole thing is just like, yo, whatever happens, I'll be fine. If for some reason this is the end of touring for a really long time, then
Hmm.
I'll go do something else. I'm
I mean,
capable.
yeah, and you've got the bonus of like being able to do the session stuff. So it's like you can
Yeah.
go and work with other artists quite easily.
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, but obviously I make my money from touring.
Mm. Yeah,
So, it's one of those situations that like if the money's not coming in at some point, all this economic recovery that's happening here in the US will taper off.
yeah,
So I'll have to figure out my next move of where to go and what to do. But yeah, you're right. I mean, when people are recording, like who knows? Greg could call me tomorrow and be like, "Hey, I want to go record another record," or "Hey, I want you to go do this," or I could write with somebody else. So there's tons of different things to keep going in terms of a creative way.
mm.
But
And you were mentioning that you had a student, so you teaching as well.
yeah, I do teaching.
Yeah,
I do
because
teaching
like,
like I also do teaching like I could do it in person, but if somebody lives in another country or another part of the state or another part of the county or city, we could just do it through FaceTime and Skype.
yeah,
Like I have a student now that lives in like down in Miami in Florida, and we do a lesson like once a week. And we just do it through FaceTime.
FaceTime. Yeah, It's like because that's a couple of people have said that they're doing lessons like so.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was talking to the guitarist from Earthless, that's what he's been doing.
Hmm.
He's just been teaching
Yeah.
non-stop. So he teaches regular kids, he teaches like adults,
Hmm.
and then he teaches fans. Like if fans
Dude,
who want to
you do
like
whoever.
be
Yeah,
in it.
whoever.
Yeah,
Yeah, whoever
yeah,
kind of wants to do it. That's kind of the way I approach it. I approach it like from like a lessons, but I also kind of approach it from like a bit of a mentoring point of view. So if
mm,
somebody's like, "Hey, I want to book a lesson with you, but I don't want to learn anything about drums," I'm gonna go record a record, and I have no idea what to expect going in. It's like, okay, how much time do you want? Well, let's talk for an hour. Okay, cool. And I'll literally block an hour of time, and I will sit there and talk to them for an hour about, okay, make sure you have A and B and C in line. This is probably what's going to happen. This is probably going to like go through all my years of like recording as a
yeah,
band member, recording as like a hired guy that like you got to show up and know your shit because like time is money.
yeah.
And if
You
you don't
can't
show
fuck
up,
around.
like you waste people's time. Um, and approach it from that, or approach it from like another like person's like once again like I don't want to learn anything about drums, like lessons, like rudiments and shit like that. How do you tune a drum set? Same thing. Like let's sit down for an hour and a half or
Yeah,
whatever, and like I will teach you how to tune drums. They can come in and they could like record stuff, and they could write it in their phone or like a notebook, and just inundate them with information.
yeah.
Um,
So kind of like coaching and stuff as well, I guess.
yeah, that's why I say mentoring because it is a
Yeah,
bit.
it's
There
like
is a bit of a mentoring component.
yeah,
I
like
feel like a coach, you kind of there's a bit of accountability, and
yeah.
like
But if
I'm
you're
not that person, so I can't be
yeah,
accountable for them.
yeah, yeah. But if you're mentoring, like you're passing on your knowledge and you're sort
Yeah,
of trying to give them the tools to help in whatever they do.
exactly. That's kind of like my approach. Like I also will do the traditional thing of like, okay, this is technique, and this is how you hold it, and this is how your arm is supposed to move. But typically, like I don't force shit down people's throats. I'm like, okay, what do you want to learn? What are you here for? Oh,
Yeah,
I want to learn, my timing isn't that good. Okay, cool. Let me see you play. They'll play like, okay, I see what your problems is, and like once again, we'll just start breaking everything apart. Like you need to do this, you need to do that, and like download this app or get this thing, buy this book, and just like give them everything and give them all the tools so that when they leave, they're like, dude, that was fucking awesome. Like now the onus is on them to go and apply
actually
it.
do it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to then be like, oh, hey, I fucked up, your fault.
No. Yeah,
Yeah,
not at
yeah,
all. It's just like I give you all the shit. And I'm also typically too with those, I'm very much like, hey, if you have any questions, just hit me up about what we talked about. If we talked about something and you're a little hazy on it, just hit me up. Totally cool. Yeah, like I mean that to take like a minute to respond to a text or an email,
yeah, yeah,
not a big deal. So I've been
yeah.
doing that. I just haven't been pushing it a lot. Like I have one consistent student, and then there's another dude that started with me a week ago. So it's like I have a few. But I
Hmm.
might push it to do more. It's just hard because it's like very oversaturated in California.
Mm.
But at the same time, doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can also like what Isaiah did is you tap into your fan base as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
You've
yeah. I
got
mean,
that option, like where they would like love to just be able to do something just with you. You know what I mean?
yeah. I feel like I offer something that I would be stoked if I was my age and like somebody that I really looked up to and admired was like, oh yeah, like yeah, cool, and just whatever. Your information is valuable. I don't mind paying you. Cool. Here's your money. Like, how is it to record this record? What was the things that you encountered along the way, and like so on and so forth. To be able to talk to somebody like that's
Yeah,
extremely valuable. That's super super valuable. Like you can go on
yeah.
YouTube now and like look up shit, but stuff that's specifically tailored to what your needs and wants are.
Mm.
And talk to somebody that you like how they play, you admire them, or they do something that you want to learn from them. It's like the connectivity of everybody. It's like utilize that, like passing information.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was gonna say, like, is there any plans, or do you think it would ever be conceivable that that Poison would get together and do one more album? Or do you think the writing side is done though?
Me, it just depends. Like, I feel like we would have to have something to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And like, I do feel like we have a pretty good consistent record of like, we have 5 consistent solid records, whether you like them or not. Like, we have
yeah,
a pretty strong catalog. I could humbly say that because I feel
yeah.
really good about what we have. Some stuff I'm not into anymore, and some stuff I still like. So
Mhm.
my thing is that if we would release an EP, singles, an LP, double LP, whatever, it would have to be of that quality. But like now, like
Yeah,
not trying to recapture that because those are
yeah,
periods
yeah,
of time, but like now. And I feel like we would have to have something to say as a band. And obviously there's a lot of shit going on right now, but we're not a political band. That's not what we talk about. We have our
yeah.
individual
That's
political
not the
beliefs,
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
but you know, it we would kind of have to find a common theme amongst one another that we would want to exploit.
yeah.
Be like, this is the thing. Like, Jeff would want this, Brad would want that, I would want this, Brad would want that, and be like, okay, well, what's the common ground? Okay, let's go for that, and then like write songs and like move towards that thing. That's always how I look at it. It's like, well, what kind of record do you want to write? I really want these things. Okay, cool. So when somebody presents me with a riff, I push it towards that. Everybody
Yeah.
has their different thing that they push it towards. And then suddenly
Mhm.
that's how it becomes this like kind of different left of center unique thing, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's definitely not out of the question. It's just we'd have to have something collectively that made sense, a theme that made sense, and we'd all have to feel very inspired to do it. But I mean, there's obviously no shortage of drama in the world right now, so to feel
Yeah.
inspired in some way is not that hard.
Yeah, I mean,
But
give it like 10 months or more.
yeah,
Yeah, there might be something where you're like, hey, let's. But
totally,
yeah,
totally. So it's definitely not out of the question. It's just we're not going to write and put out something that isn't good, and good by our standard. Yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly. Like, there's no
so
point in rehashing the same shit over,
it's just this
over
is
and over.
that's never been our thing. It's just
Mm.
never been our thing. It's been there's bands that do that. They churn that shit out like McDonald's and like, hey man, that's totally cool. That serves you. But I feel like the way we go about stuff as a band is what sets us aside from other bands. As we really value creative output. We value it, sometimes like to our detriment over financial or you know career. Which you can make arguments
Mm.
now. Hindsight, we probably should have did some shit. We probably should have been smarter about stuff. But young dumb kids. That's the way it goes.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just gonna do
yeah,
stupid shit.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's I feel like that's been a thing that actually has kept our band alive is that we do shit that we believe in and somewhat unique stuff so that like we
That,
can put out a record 20 years later, and if we did, people would care, and if it was good, people would care a lot. And that's like the thing
yeah,
that we don't take for granted. Like we're very aware of that, so it's like, okay, if we're gonna put something out, it's gotta be good. And until then, we're not gonna do anything. I mean, it could be another
do
10
anything. Yeah,
years, but if it comes out, we're all gonna sign off on it, and we're gonna feel really good about it.
yeah, yeah. And it'd be good. I mean, I think I'm trying to think if you did do did you do a doco years ago, or am I dreaming?
No, a friend of ours started doing a documentary, and it didn't pan out. Let's just put it that way. Like he was doing individual clips and interviewing people, and he still has a bunch of footage. It's just he wanted to incorporate a lot of live performances, and the audio got lost in the
Yeah,
mix.
yeah, yeah,
So the main thing of it's not there. Like you could have a
yeah,
bunch of
yeah.
talking heads, and you could have a theme, but if you don't have the show,
The show, yeah,
that's like the main thing. So, but him and I kind of talked about like doing some sort of documentary of sorts of just something. But it's a passion project for him, so whatever.
whatever,
If
yeah,
it's at some point he wants to pick back up and jump back into it and then do it. I mean, obviously I'd be more than happy be involved with it as much as everybody else is too. So
Yeah. I mean, especially maybe even like with the 20th anniversary stuff, it could work.
we talked about it. He was going to do something, but it just didn't pan out. He couldn't get here in time, and he also does other things, so it just didn't work. That show was recorded. Like there was a guy there, Rob Wallace, I believe. He shot it, and then I had a GoPro, and the GoPro was taking video. And there is audio. I think there is a Pro Tools session out there, but we haven't really done anything with it yet.
With it, yeah.
I'm not out of the question. I mean, if if we wanted to, I'm sure we could edit something together and take it to a mixer and have a mixer clean it up. But we're not really there.
Yeah, not really. It's like there's heaps of those like the old Hellfest DVDs with heaps of people's like performances and stuff as well.
Yeah.
You can kind of go back and I don't know. It's just,
reliving a period of time.
Yeah, it's like 20 years ago, and yeah, like now I think about it, and it's just like such a crazy different. Like, I mean, that kind of hardcore thing that started from still exists, but it's like super. It's gone like kind of back down again, like in the sense that it's not huge.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I remember when Australia was massive.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like not so much like a big thing. It's kind of like everyone's still in love with the same bands from 20 years ago, but nothing new so much. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like what happened was like that particular music got big with certain bands. Some bands still kind of flew the flag of being like super underground. Other bands, like us, we kind of try to push it a little further and whatever. But then I feel like at some point it like split, and then there's still bands like us and Converge and Cave In and that whole side. But then there's this whole other side of bands, which I'm definitely not going to name names, but there's like a whole other side where it's like, I guess the way I would describe it is like your like younger brother that's like not cool at all and doesn't get it at all.
Yeah.
He's like imitating you and your friends. It doesn't get it, but for some reason everybody like thinks he's cool and he becomes very popular.
Yeah.
That's still kind of around, but
yes.
I get it. I mean, I guess people from like, the earlier versions of like hardcore, melodic metal hardcore could like look at a band like Poison the Well, like, and say, all right, like, you guys aren't cool. Like, bands from like the mid to early 90s, like those type of bands, okay, cool. Like, yeah, okay. They could say that. That's fine. Whatever. But it's a bit different. I don't know. It's, whatever.
Yeah. It's
those like, bands, those bands suck anyways. Like all those like shitty Hot Topic bands. And I know that like that dates me to say Hot Topic because I don't even think Hot Topic's a thing anymore.
I still say it. Apparently it is still a thing. I thought it was all closed down, but apparently there is some of it still happening.
You know what? It is still a thing because so when like the rioting and looting was happening, there was some of that shit happened in Long Beach. And there's like an outlet place. What'd you say?
At Hot Topic.
Well, there's a spot down like a outlet place called the Pike, and there's a Hot Topic there. And I remember seeing in Twitter being like, "Oh, the Pike, the Hot Topic got raided," and they'd be like, "Shit, like, oh, this is what the kids look like," and it was just like kids from like My Chemical Romance and shit. Like it was like those photos. There's like that particular time of like, oh, this is what the criminals look like that stole the shit. It was kind of funny.
Yeah. All that. Yeah, I remember the first time I went to America. Excuse me. And saw Hot Topic in person, and I was like, wow.
That's a thing.
It's a thing, yeah. It's a whole other thing, like of people. It's like an actual genre of people, like almost. Like
it's 100% a genre of people.
Like all those, what do you call it? Like it always reminds me of that horrible Black Veil Brides or whatever they're called. Like that kind of shit. That's what it reminds me of. Like, and I'm like, oh, like, and you kind of think, I don't know about that.
It's
They're
just
there,
not.
you know.
It's just not for you and me. It's a different
Yeah,
generation, right?
it's like
It's like
it's a younger thing. Like, I mean, I think when Chemical Romance first came out, I was like, I can't remember how old I was, but I remember like, the first album I really liked it, which was
mhm.
like the underground one that was like more gothy and vampire-y and bloody, you know.
Yeah.
And I still find them fun, and for nostalgia reasons, I would go and see them. But
Mhm.
but yeah, I wasn't like a hot topic goth or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, like um that side of the whole like emo thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's a generation thing, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I do think it's cool that you could be like, hey, I want X shirt. I'm gonna go buy X shirt and not have to find like a nichey spot, but like you actually have like access to it.
yeah,
But right now, like if I wanted like a particular type of shirt, like on a like a really thin, nice, like whatever, one of those like paper thin shirts, I can just
yeah.
go
I know
online now.
yeah, same.
You can just go
Even like
online
plaid
now.
shirts. Yeah,
Where back then you couldn't. You're like either you have to go to the specialty store or you go to Hot Topic. So I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it is kind of cool to like not have to fucking jump through hoops to get like a fucking Motorhead shirt, but
yeah. But I mean, now
whatever.
you can get them. You can get them like super duper easy. I mean, like, I guess what is it called over there? Walmart. We have Kmart, which is kind of like same thing. And
Hmm.
yeah, you can go into the Kmart section and like for example, I got for $20, I got like a Nine Inch Nails t-shirt that's like Nine Inch Nails and on the back the downward spiral.
Yeah.
Like and it's authorized merch and any Metallica shirt you want,
Hmm.
any Nirvana shirt you want,
That's tight. Yeah.
Motorhead, AC/DC for like 19.95 or whatever. And it's all official merchandise. Like the bands have all signed off on it
Yeah,
so
they,
that
they get their royalties from it. They're stoked. So whatever.
yeah. So and I really like that because I feel like, you know, just because you're like poor or, you know, you're lower income, like you shouldn't be like not able to enjoy that shit.
Yeah.
You know,
I
because a
agree.
lot
No,
of
I totally agree. Totally agree.
because a lot of merch is like 40, $50, you know, a shirt.
Hmm.
Um, and it's massively more expensive, obviously, if you're in Australia because you've
Yeah.
got to pay. It's like $30 US, which is nearly $60 US, and then add shipping. So sometimes you're paying nearly $100 for one shirt, you know, and
That's a
it's
lot.
like
That's a lot.
it's
That's
yeah.
that's
So it's
fucking a
like
lot. That's fucking a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. So it's like you've really got to like it's like a thing where you save up. Like, you
Hmm.
know, I'll save up because I want to buy these particular shirts or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I find it really cool that shit's available. But then I hear people whinging all the time, like, oh no, it's like no, because you know, people who don't like it won't listen to it. And it's like, well, at Kmart, it's just in the men's section, dude. Like you have to go
Hmm.
look for it. It's not like it's yeah, like a hot topic or we have other like shops that are like girly shops, you know, which I think
Yeah.
you'd have like Forever 21, and
Yeah. Here we go.
they sell like really lame band t-shirts,
Hmm.
rip-offs, you
Yeah.
know, and like those are lame, you know, but like these are official merchandise that the band is like getting royalties for, and they've approved all the art, like
Yeah. It's fucking fine.
and you can't tell the difference between the shirt or the one that's for sale. You know what I mean on the
Yeah.
website. So it's like if you can get it, rad. It's like why wouldn't you?
The cool police can fuck off. I don't care. Like I'll
Yeah,
go buy.
no,
I
and
don't give
like
a shit. I'll buy a shirt from Walmart if it's like it's fucking a cool Metallica shirt. I'll go buy that from Walmart. I don't care.
yeah,
You know.
same. I was like that's like I was like oh cool, it's got the like Nine Inch Nails thing on the front, and I turned around. I was like oh yeah, it was like further down the spiral on the back. I was
Uh,
like never gonna get that again. I was like I'm getting it, 19
yeah.
bucks.
Yeah. Who
It's
gives a fuck?
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Who gives? Who gives
I've got about five Metallica ones, like all different, like
yeah.
crazy colors and styles. Like it's like, fuck it, why not? But
Yeah.
you know, that's sort of like, you know, that's the legacy. I mean, I wish I had got Poison the Well merch back in the day, but I feel like
Mm.
that was a poor days.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
They were the days when, you know, you'd have to like be like, oh, I gotta save up to get like, you know, blah, and shit like that. And then you'd have like your like the crazy hardcore and stuff as well, like all
Yeah.
the bros. Like I still really like Throwdown. I'm not gonna lie, but
That's
like,
totally cool.
but like, you know, that's my workout music. Like
Yeah.
I put Haymaker on and go nuts. It
Yeah.
just gets me in the mood. And I'm not straight edge and I'm not vegan or any of that shit, but
No, it's
I'll sing it.
music's music, man. Yeah, you just have listen to it. If you go work out to it, that's like even better, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's just got such a good fast vibe that it's so good for working out to.
Hmm.
I do the same with like, I think it's Rage Against the Machine, the self-titled.
Yeah.
It's really good. And then
Good.
there's like a NWA one that's good as well. And I'll be
Mhm.
like, yeah, they're like the workout ones.
Yeah. You have your like, yeah, your workout or your like your driving music or your just chill music. There's like specific music for like specific things.
Someone wants to know, will there be Poison the Well face masks? You know how all these bands
Maybe.
do?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
maybe. I don't think we've even talked about that yet at all. Because like when the whole thing happened, the bands were doing it and they were donating them, which is super cool. But
yeah.
we weren't gonna do that.
Yeah.
So, but like I don't think we've looked into it yet at all
Yeah,
to
like I
do
mean,
that.
I think people are selling them now,
I think
like
it's like it's moved past that. Yeah, we just haven't really thought about it yet to do. But you know, everybody in the band's a little bit weird about certain things. Like some people, like I wouldn't mind Poison Well coffee cups, but I think the other two dudes just aren't into that. So it's
Mhm.
like past like soft goods. It gets a
Yeah,
little dicey with like putting our logo or designs on certain things where like some people are into it and some people aren't. You know, hey.
yeah. You got to get
So
everyone on board. Yeah,
I do think that you know a face mask does qualify as like a soft good as much as like a hoodie or a shirt. So
mm.
I'm definitely not against that. It would just have to be a cool like new design
Design
that like makes sense across you know this.
your face. Yeah, not just
Yeah.
like poison the well.
No, I think we'd probably just do like like a design of sorts that would go across it. Maybe not the band logo, but something that if like you know, you'd be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh shit, that's the Poison Well logo, or this is from this shirt or that shirt
Shirt
or that
or
record or whatever. Like something that's identifiable with like our band brand.
yeah.
And I think that'd be cooler, but just to like put a logo, it seems a little like not very creative to me.
No,
Like
no.
at
It's
all.
like or just writing it
Yeah.
across. Yeah, that'd be cool. Someone's asking about lunchboxes now. This must be a real something that
Nah,
people really want.
probably a good possibility we will never do lunch boxes.
No lunchboxes, guys.
No lunch
Um,
boxes.
Someone's saying the sunflower from YCBY.
Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, we just have to sit down, like literally it's just we have a bazillion designs throughout the years. We would just have to like go through them and, you know, okay, these ones suck, these ones are really dated. Okay, these ones are really cool. Okay, what do we put these on? This goes on a shirt, that can go on a poster, that can go on a face mask, that can go on a sticker, that can go on a patch. But you just start figuring out what can go where and what can do
Where
what.
and how it
Yeah, and
fits.
then yeah, where it fits and where to go with it, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, we haven't thought about the face mask thing yet, but it's obviously if it's still a thing, playing
Yeah,
shows probably should.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
social, responsible thing to do, as Ryan would
And
say.
they seem easy to make from the amount of people that are making them. So
Super simple textile good. It's literally just like some shit and some fucking like
some shit and some shit.
yeah. Or there's the ones that like go up. There's the ones that go up over and then it goes around and then like
Yeah,
pull
yeah.
it
You
down.
got to have it above your nose.
Yeah. It's all over the
Yeah,
place. Yeah, you can do that
yeah,
one. Like it's like a neck sock, and then the one that just like goes over.
yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we're coming up to nearly 2 hours. So I was going to say, we should probably sign out. What's someone saying?
Yeah,
Kick
it's probably gonna kick.
us off. Yeah,
It's probably gonna
yeah,
kick us off in a second.
yeah. So yeah, well, thanks for coming and chatting about
Yeah, no,
everything
no.
and anything.
Yeah, no problem, Renee. It's
Yeah,
good to catch up, and I didn't expect to talk for 2 hours, and literally I was a zombie right before I came on, so I'm glad I'm a little
yeah,
bit more awake now.
yeah.